is huge. I mean, it's like a man. It's big.
Kane's son.
You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism.
Just tell me one thing, Burke. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan. You have my word on it.
All right, I'm in.
Let's rock!
Don't look back, dude! Run as fast as you can!
Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair.
Welcome to Perfect Organism, the Alien Saga podcast. I am your host, Jaime Prater, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Patrick Green, hacking up along here in the background, getting over what felt like it almost was a cold, but it didn't quite develop. So I just ended up with a lot of post-nasal drip and coughing.
Interesting.
So keeping alive during cold season. I got to say, with little kids, it's difficult. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It is a beautiful, a little bit gloomy day here in LA, but it's
what temperature is it over there right now?
It is a freezing, 55 degrees.
Wow, that's pretty cold.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it'll probably get up to
dealing
like
with we've got a cold snap right now. It's 36 as I'm looking at it, but it feels colder. It's been pretty chilly over here lately.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But you know what's not been chilly?
Alien news.
Yeah, we have been getting a ton of updates lately. That transition actually worked really well on both the FX series and Romulus too, which is amazing. Of course, most of this is happening because the strike has ended, the SAG-AFTRA strike and the writer strikes. So we're able to talk about these things now and get news, and a lot of industry figures are coming back out into the press now. And it really has felt like the last week has just been, it's been a mile a minute with announcements and interviews and people talking, which is great, because I think we were all getting to this place, especially with the Hawley series, even just a couple of weeks ago, of being like, is this thing going to survive this? Like, what is, when the strike had no end in sight, we were kind of like, is this thing? Because it just felt like it was kind of paused in a weird way. But it's definitely happening now. And of course, they're saying they're going to be resuming production in the beginning of the new year, something like January, February, with a targeted release date of early 2025, which could very well happen. Pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. I mentioned this in our chat the other day. It's great to be in this place as an Alien fan, where we're getting not only probably a 2-hour movie at least, but we're getting a 10-hour TV show within 6 months of each other. That is very exciting. To the roll up, the excitement, the promotion, everything that's going to happen. Probably, I would imagine, I don't know, any day now we're going to get a couple of first stills from the film, from Romulus at least.
We might be. We got the stills from the Fallout movie, or the Fallout series that is coming up, and that got me thinking, like, because that was another project that I had been very excited about for a long time, had been kind of like, where is it? Is it going to survive the writer's strike? And now it's like, we're seeing photos of people in costumes and effects and things, and it's like really happening. So I definitely think we're going to be getting that, especially for Romulus, if not for the Hawley series soon as well. But back to the kind of get things rolling here, but the Hawley series, he's done some interviews, including this one really beautiful extended interview that looked like it took place in his house, which is quite nice, in Austin, Texas. And he talks about things like, like the aesthetic of the film of the series that he's aiming for. And he talks about some of the, intricacies of working with the creature. And I'll hand it over to you to kind of take us through some of it. But before I do, something that I really like about what he talked about was the need to find what makes the creature and the life cycle scary today, as opposed to just relying on what it's historically been scary for. And I think that's something we've talked about, especially lately, quite a bit, because we are in a state as a global, culture now, where I think fear is pretty near the surface of our daily existence for a lot of different reasons, whether it's, conflicts in the Middle East or other geopolitical conflicts or artificial intelligence or, all these things that machine learning people are kind of freaked out about. So I'm excited to see what he does with that.
I am too. A couple of things that he said that read is really refreshing to me was his approach to this. And he talked about the Alien movies. He's like, generally in an Alien film, you have people kind of running from point A to point B, and you have this, this is the company and this is what's happening. And then you have the life cycle. And he said, it works really well in that format. He said, but that format might not work that well in a 10-hour show. So how do you change that? How do you make that work? How do you bring the world of Alien to a series in a little bit of a different format? And I love that approach. To me, and I know that there's been some issues with some character names and some things here and there that we've seen, but those are the right questions that that he's asked. How do you tell the story? How do you tell a gripping story? And it has to delve into other things as opposed to, oh my God, there's an alien in a corridor, we got to run. It's got to be deeper than that, because it's not going to sustain. Just like a film about Marines for the sake of Marines isn't going to sustain a movie. It's got to be deeper than that. So I'm very excited to see what he has in store and his approach. I know that there has been some casting announcements, which we'll get to later. But as I've said from the beginning, in Hawley, I trust. I think that this is going to be pretty amazing.
I do too. And just a note on the aesthetics, he's talking quite a bit about how he prefers, old computer terminals over things like holograms and, 3D modeling and things. And I feel like, not 3D modeling, 3D visuals. I feel like that is also a really good sign. And it's not surprising given what we've seen with his other work. And of course, for me, my experience with his work is Fargo and Legion, both of which have very grounded aesthetic realities and are really beautiful to look at. So I think that's, it's all boding very well. And I think he's absolutely right that if you want to have a series on this thing that can sustain itself, if you just have a bunch of people running from, facehugger, from eggs that are opening up and facehugging people, like it's going to get old really, really quickly. The character names are interesting. I guess another news item while we're talking about this, there have been at least two, maybe more than that, casting announcements recently about this series. The second of which we'll get to in a minute because it's a pretty big star, which is very exciting. But also we had the announcement that let me find his name because he was somebody I had not heard of. David Riesdahl is joining the cast as Kirsch, who is working with this character Wendy, who's played by Cindy Chandler. And from what we know of Wendy, of course, she is this like child in the body of an adult synthetic, which of course is weird. I mean, like we can call that out. Like that sounds very strange and
very strange,
potentially problematic. But I mean, I trust what he's doing with it. That's like, I think an exciting thing to get more names, but it leads to more people seeing things like the character names and having protracted complaining sessions online about things like Toodles and these names that are just kind of ridiculous. And to me, I also have that gut reaction because it just sounds like what is up with this series? Like why is he doing all these things? But then I look at Hawley's other work and I find comfort from the fact that a lot of his other work deals with the absurd and with using the absurd as a vehicle for storytelling. Legion being a great example of that, but also in Fargo, a lot of the time it's kind of funny. Like the situations that these characters are in are very darkly comedic. And so the idea of, these characters with kind of slapsticky sounding names and, call sheets, it might be setting us up for an unexpected dark comedic lens into Alien, which I don't know, that could work maybe.
Perhaps. I don't know. I don't really think that the names that we're seeing are going to be the final names. I think that they're fucking with us, to be honest with you. You
don't think Toodles is going to be?
I don't. And then there's some other like Kermit and Warbly or
Kermit.
whatever. Yeah. Like those names are too outlandish. Those are names that you give projects of whom you're trying to slowly, like maybe you're spreading some misinformation. You're trying to bring people in, but I just don't think that those are the final names. They sound too crazy, and they sound crazy enough that they're like, oh, let's tell you these names almost to see how we'd react to it. It's very interesting. But that aside, if anyone has seen Legion, which I know you have, Fargo, which I've seen a little bit of Fargo. I've not seen too much of it, but Legion is one of the most authentic, original things I've ever seen on TV. I've never seen its equal in its own way. And any doubt people might have, and I'm not saying Hawley might not make a mistake or might, make the wrong choice with Alien. It's very possible. But his track record has proven that he knows what he's doing. So I have given him my kind of emotional trust. I think what we're going to end up getting in the Hawley show, it might be a little bit more satisfying than what we get from Romulus. Not that Romulus won't be amazing. I can't wait to see it, hopefully with you and everyone else. But the Hawley show is where it's at for me.
It's really exciting. I have to do a correction quick. I know we're doing a news episode, so I should probably get it right. David Riesdahl is not playing Kirsch. That's being played by the other actor we're about to talk about, which is Timothy Elephant.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Timothy Elephant. Timothy Elephant. I don't know actually who David Riesdahl is playing. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But let's go to Timothy Elephant because that's a really big deal. Of course, everybody knows him from Justified, from The Office, from he's been a pretty consistent Mandalorian. Just a wonderful screen presence. Such a talented actor. Brings so much like gravity and realism and often humor to the roles that he plays. I mean, he just sounds like he's going to be great. And I think it's also nice that he's older. He's in his mid 50s, and I think he'll help to kind of balance out some of the almost exclusively very young cast that we've seen so far, with just a little bit of kind of, help to kind of bridge the generational gap a little bit there in the casting area. And yeah, he's playing a synthetic scientist, and he is the one that he's Wendy's mentor of some kind. So yeah, I think that's a really cool casting announcement.
I think so too. And there's been a lot of talk about the young cast of Romulus, and I know that we've talked about it as a show here and there. And I think our fears are a little bit well, I'm not saying we have any fear. I think that our trepidation, we've talked through it a little bit, so we're in a good place with it. But it's nice to see adults cast in these roles. Oliphant's casting very much to me feels like Tom Skerritt's casting in Alien. He's got that. He's probably, well, Tom Skerritt was in his late 40s.
He's 49,
mid to late 48. Right? Yeah. And Oliphant's a little bit older than that, but it's just nice to have the weight of older people in a show like this. Again, it's not to say that's going to be perfect. I don't know, but I know what you're going to say.
It's just on brand for you is all I'm saying.
I will be 64 next week.
It is nice. I agree. And I think to me, the big thing, and I keep getting Romulus and the FX series mixed up because we don't have that many casting announcements for the FX series yet. But I think what I find really nice is that Timothy Oliphant, because of his, it keeps sounding like I'm saying elephant. It's
okay.
Oliphant.
It sounds like Oliphant from Lord of the Rings movies. It's an Oliphant, but it's a big elephant. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
He's the Oliphant in the room.
That should be the name of this episode. Actually, we probably should. What's nice though is that he's a star, like he's a bankable, very sellable star, and that gives me all this confidence around this series. Like seeing that somebody like him with his like bankability, especially on television, like Raylan Givens is one of the most iconic characters of the early 21st century. I think on Justified. I think that means that like this thing is really happening. Like this is they are signing up big names to it. It's very public. So, as recently as 2 weeks ago, I truly personally was in a place of kind of wondering if this was going to happen or not, or what was going to come of this. And now, it's definitely happening.
Yo, Patrick fucking hates Noah Hawley. It is happening. It's so exciting. Last part on the casting of Timothy Oliphant. I don't know if you've seen some of the comments under the post of his casting announcement. Everyone's like, oh my God, I'm in. It's positive after positive after positive. This one casting bit, people trust and love this man as an actor so much that his casting has turned people's heads. Oh, yeah. Like, okay, hey, this is something I'm going to take seriously. And I think it's a bit of marketing on their part. I think the casting is certainly, Timothy is a great actor. Number two, he's a big name. He's a big name on TV at least. And I think them casting was a lateral move. It was a move to kind of bring people in and say, hey, no, I think we know what we're doing. And we know what we do. We know what we're doing so much that Timothy Oliphant is now a part of this team.
Exactly.
Right.
So you can trust the project.
Yes.
And just because this is a news update, according to Deadline, the rest of the cast that we have at the moment is we have Oliphant as Kirsch. We have Alex Lothar as CJ, the soldier. Samuel Blenken as Boy. These names are so crazy. Boy Cavalier, who is a CEO.
Ridiculous.
And Essie Davis as Dame Sylvia. Adarsh Gaurav as Slightly, and Kit Young as Toodles. These they do sound made up. I agree with you.
Completely made up.
But that would be a weird 4D chess move to give fake names to people. I don't know.
That's true too. And also, what's interesting about this and the elephant in the room, the other one, is we have this movie coming out in less than a year, less than 9 months. Yeah. We've seen barely a still from. We've seen all sorts of production art from the Hawley series. We've seen casting announcements. We've seen more from this mythical series that they announced over 3 years ago than we have from this movie that's 9 months away, which is strange. Like, why haven't, the impatient 12-year-old in me is like, why haven't you guys shown a couple of clips or stills from Romulus? Like, it's weird. I don't know why this is happening, and it's okay.
There's nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose by doing that. Like, what? Yeah. I mean, the film's been done for months. Like, why are you not showing anything? It's not like you're going to spoil something for people. I'm sure they want to wait till Alien Day or something in that area to do some huge reveal of things. You could still be putting stuff out. You could be showing us. It just gives confidence, especially in a time when we have these huge strikes happening and things are getting canceled and delayed. It's a nice way to show people, like, hey, don't worry. Like, this is coming out and it looks really good.
Yeah, and you have Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, which won't release until December 24th, perhaps, I think, of 2024, or December 21st, something like that. And they've shown us 2 stills from that film, which just wrapped production 2 months ago, 3 months ago, not even 3 months ago. And I'm like, wait, we can see a couple of stills from the Robert Eggers film that's more than a year away, but this film that's 9 months away, we know nothing about. We've heard nothing about. Interesting.
Just weird.
I'm not I'm not angry. I'm just impatient. I'm excited. I'm a fan. I trust Fede Alvarez. I trust everyone involved. I just want something. I feel like we're probably going to get something before the end of the year, though. Can you imagine if you and I or whoever were invited to the set of Hawley's Alien series? Oh my God.
To kind of move along for a minute, back to Romulus, speaking of Romulus, Kaylee Spaney did an interview. Of course, Kaylee Spaney is very much in the news at the moment because of her Priscilla film, which, have you seen that?
I have not.
And neither have I. I've heard great things about it.
Oh, that's Sofia Coppola, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard some controversy. I do like Jacob Elordi too. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
I might check that out.
Yeah, I bet it's good. So the quick news item with Kaylee Spaney's interview, which she did with Variety, is that this takes place between the events of Alien and Aliens, which of course is confirming some Perfect Organism reporting from like May or something from a long time ago. Pretty cool. So you can trust what we say because we only report on things we know for a fact.
Yeah.
But the to me, the more exciting thing in her announcement, or her interview rather, is that the effects teams behind this are confirmed to be Legacy Studios, which is what Stan Winston Studios became, along with ADI, or Studio Gillis rather now. So that I think is great. And of course, we know that this movie is going to be very practical. We know that Fede loves in-camera things. And we know that although he has a background in CG, he really relies heavily on in-camera effects work. And investing in 2 of like the great powerhouses of practical effects for me for a film, like, that's amazing.
I would agree. Whoever was going to be in charge of the creature effects or whatever, I always know that it's probably always going to look good, but to have the people who fundamentally understand the way that these creatures work, they have my support. Now, I have some issue with where ADI went with the creature design later on, like with the AVP films and Alien Resurrection, that the mouths sort of changed. They got wider. The teeth got they're less human-like and more oval. I'm nitpicking, but so I hope we can really get back to that big chap aesthetic, whatever it is. But I have complete faith in these people. These are amazing people in charge of the effects. And again, I think Fede Alvarez knows what he's doing, and I think he set up a good team.
Yeah, and I think the reasoning, I mean, of course, for Resurrection, it's because they're genetically different from the creatures in the earlier movies. They're being interspliced with human DNA and things like that, so they look different. And also in the AVP films, they wanted to bulk them up and make them look more imposing to make it more of like an action, Alien versus Predator kind of a setup, because the Predator has all these weapons and things, and they wanted to kind of scale the Alien to look more of a threat. In terms of like a battle. So I think both of those examples are driven by storytelling considerations. And I think this could be a great opportunity to return, like you're saying, to more of an elegant, humanoid, but alien again.
Mm-hmm.
And just one more quick thing before we wrap is that Dana Gonzalez, who was originally listed as a cinematographer for the TV series, that Hawley's putting out is going to be directing some episodes along with Hawley, and that also is great because, of course, Dana Gonzalez directed numerous episodes of Fargo, which again, I mean, I like Fargo even more than Legion. I think it's amazing. And Timothy Olyphant also was in Fargo too. So like some of this makes sense. It kind of comes, full circle. As was
the other guy that we
Rice,
reported.
What's his name?
Rysdale.
David Rysdale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We're probably butchering his name. I apologize. Right. Somebody correct us.
Please come on our show though, anyways.
Yeah. Tell us how to say it by appearing on Perfect Organism, the Alien Soccer Podcast. Thanks everybody. We really hope you are just as jazzed as we are about all these new interviews and all these new updates coming out. It's a great time to be an Alien fan, like Jamie said.
It really is.
Very exciting.
It is very exciting. Just a reminder, we're taking a break for a couple of cycles. So just a reminder to everyone, we have 2 more episodes coming out, and then we're taking a 2-cycle break. So we won't come back until mid-January, which is great because I'm going to be gone in England for about a month. It gives me time just to kind of hang out, and I can record while we're over there. But I'm excited. We have a really great year ahead of us with a movie coming out, with the series coming out, with Alien Day happening. Who knows what else is in store from PO, by the way. You might see us at a Comic-Con or something. I don't know. We'll let you guys know.
We hope. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. To find out more information about Perfect Organism, the Alien Saga podcast, please go to www.perfectorganism.com. If you would like to support the show, please go to www.perfectorganism.com/support. Thank you.